Peace y'all, I am ICC and we are back yet again with another 5-minute review. Today we are talking about one of the most classic football games of all time, and when I say football, I mean gridiron. Tecmo Bowl was released on the NES in 1989. This was a port of the arcade game of the same name, which many people didn't even know existed. While the arcade game allowed from 1 to 4 players and was a dual monitor setup, the NES port only allows for 1 or 2 players, and there is no way to achieve a dual monitor setup with the NES, so that was obviously not an option. Tecmo Bowl is one of the first football games to feature NFL players' names and numbers. LJN's NFL game was the first to feature real teams, but they didn't have real players. With that being said, Tecmo didn't have real team names, and only 12 cities were represented. With the Denver Broncos being represented, I really didn't mind the lack of all 28 NFL teams, and yes, back then there were only 28 teams in the NFL. The player stats were based on their real-life counterparts, so you can expect Denver and San Francisco to be a few of the better teams. They met in the Super Bowl that year, but the Los Angeles team is based on the Raiders, and they have Bo Jackson. And since this game has no injuries and no fatigue, you can feed the ball to your workhorse again and again. One good running back like that can change the game. The New York team is based on the Giants and not the Jets, so this means they have one certain person named Lawrence Taylor. He is the defensive Bo Jackson of this game. When me and my friends played this game back in the day, we would ban those two teams. You could not pick Los Angeles or the New York Giants. Once you take the field, you call plays by hitting a certain combination of button and digital pad. Most teams have 2 run plays and 2 pass plays, but certain teams like the 49ers have 1 run play and 3 pass plays. When running, just hit the holes, follow your blockers, and then start to zigzag. Once you have open field in front of you, it will pretty much be a touchdown every time unless you are playing versus a human opponent. Then he can hunt you down and make the tackle. When you pass the ball, look for the open wide receiver. I know it sounds obvious, but if your wide receiver is covered, be wary of throwing the ball to them. It will be intercepted 99% of the time. Tecmo Bowl defenders do not play around when it comes to pass defense. The defense picks from the same 4 plays as the offense, and if they choose the same play as the offense, they will blow the play up in the backfield with either a sack or a tackle for a loss. Every once in a while, good players can manage to escape and still get positive yards on the play, but the defenders are swarming, so you will probably not get very far. Field goals are done with the power meter, so just hit the button at the right time and you are good to go. The longer the field goal, the higher you will need to be on the power bar. However, that also gives the defense more time to get there for a block, so while attempting extra points, just give it a chip shot. Kicking the ball on an extra point is the only option. This was before the 2-point conversion was adopted by the NFL, so keep that in mind if you are down by 8 points. Kickoffs use the same meter as field goals, and there is no way to do an onside kick, so you are kicking the ball to the opponent no matter what. The graphics were decent for the time, not the best, but definitely not the worst. The game will always go left to right unless you are the second player, then it will go from right to left. Halftime does not swap sides. The music has different themes for each side, and a few other tunes here and there. They are catchy, and if you played some songs for gamers of that era, many could tell you exactly what game it's from. Tecmo Bowl is a classic, and even if you aren't into football, this is still a fun video game. Tecmo Bowl receives the ICC stamp of approval. This is ICC signing off. Thank you for watching. Peace.